what's up you guys? So today I decided why not do a storytime video, and here we are. So today's storytime video is going to be about my wisdom teeth experience. Yeah, so let's get on with the video. So let's start this off by saying one disclaimer that this is about my experience, and some of the stuff in here probably won't happen to you, so don't worry about it. I just thought it was an interesting story. So let's start off with the first thing that happened that day. So basically woke up super early in the morning, not excited about this thing happening in the first place, as you shouldn't be if you're going to get your wisdom teeth out. Like, who's excited about that? Like, woo, getting my teeth ripped out of my mouth, yay! Yeah, so that was already so going there, and then so I get to the place and I'm like sitting there for like 10-15 minutes, and you gotta fill out all these forms that are like, oh, da-da-da-da, whatever. So then I get in there, and this is when it happens, and then this lady calls me from the door and goes, okay, is Taylor here? And I'm like, yep, yes I am. Great, this is happening. So I get into the room that I'm supposed to be in, and I meet this lady, and she's like my anesthesiologist, I guess. I hope I said that right. And yeah, basically she's giving me medicine so I'm asleep during the thing, which is good because I would have a mental breakdown if I was awake during the thing. Yeah, so this lady is trying to act all calm, and she's all like, oh yeah, so it's gonna be fine and whatever, trying to like kind of get me off of like the conversation thing that's actually happening, calming me down, whatever. So she puts like this needle in my arm, and I hate not excited about that in the first place. And so she puts the needle in my arm over here, and she's already, I could tell this isn't gonna happen, because, okay, so the lady's like, okay, so I'm having a hard time finding a vein to like put the needle in. And I was like, great, of course you are, yay. So she's like feeling around, and she's like, okay, I think we're gonna use this one. And I was like, okay, great, wonderful, let's just do it. So she's like, okay, just, you don't have to look or whatever, just like look off somewhere and just like don't focus on it. So I was like, okay, whatever. So she goes, okay, and then she puts the thing on my arm. I barely even feel it, and I'm like, oh, that's great, that's wonderful, didn't even feel it. So I'm sitting there for like 5-10 minutes maybe, and she goes, oh, wait a second, actually this vein isn't working that well. It's like, not really, not working out. And I was like, great, wonderful, that's a lot. So she's like, okay, we're gonna have to take this one out, and we're gonna try the other arm. And I was like, fun. So she takes this one out of this arm and puts like a little band-aid thing and whatever. Okay, so then she goes over to my other arm, and she's like, oh yeah, okay, so now, okay, so make a fist. So I had to go like this a million times for her to like actually see the veins, I guess. And then so she's like, okay, I see one, we'll try this one out. And then so she sticks it in my arm. And for some reason, which is really weird, like this one, like this vein, did not hurt whatsoever. And then this one hurt like hell, and I have no idea why. And I don't know if it's just because she did it wrong or whatever. Like, I remember after I had a bruise there, it was like gigantic. It was like, not. Finally, get in there, I got the needle thing in my arm, and she's like, okay, now we're gonna start putting in the, what's it called? Oh, the anesthesia thing, yeah. And so, okay, whatever. So, like, the whole thing's happening, and she's trying to distract me, like I said before. So she's just like, where do you go to school? And I'm like, whatever. She's like, oh, my son goes there and whatever. And I'm like, oh, great, great, wonderful. And then I remember I'm just sitting there for like 15-20 minutes, and they keep asking me, these people, they're like, oh, so you getting tired yet? You getting tired yet? And I was like, no, not really getting tired. And then she's like, oh, okay, okay. And then I just see her fix the thing. And then she'd be like, oh, so you getting tired yet? And I was like, no, not really. And then, but finally, after, I guess they had to like put more in or something, I don't know. But after adding more, whatever the heck they did, I just remember that she asked me again, like, where I went to school, and I like could not remember for my life. I was just like sitting there like, I really don't know. And she was like, oh, that's okay. And I was like, wait a second, I can't even think about it. Like, where do I go to school? And then she was like, do you know how old you are? And I was like, I don't know. And then it was like, then I was getting like, and she could tell. And so finally, I just remember that, and then I think I fell asleep. So fell asleep for the whole thing. Knock on wood that I was asleep for the whole thing. And it didn't really seem like that long, but I guess it was like 2 hours, maybe like 2.5 hours, I think. Yeah. And so I'm done. I remember I just woke up, and then I just remember my mouth was like full of gauze, like ugh. And it didn't really hurt at the time, like when I first like got up or whatever. And you see all those videos on YouTube, and they're like, oh yeah, after my wisdom teeth, I was so like knocked out and like woozy and like was falling over, and I was saying all this stuff. Like, I get that happens to some people, but for me, that didn't happen at all. I woke up, I was like fully conscious. I knew exactly what I was doing. I remember I got up out of the chair, and I was like, okay, and they're like, oh, you have to go sit down, whatever, for a little bit. So I go to sit down. That was really boring, and I wanted to use my phone, and the people there are like, you can't use your phone. Don't let her use your phone for some reason. And I was like, okay, all right. But I guess that's like if you're like not conscious of what you're doing, and maybe you'll like mess up. But I don't know. Like, they wouldn't let me use my phone. That was annoying. And yeah, I was like there, and it was pretty boring. I was just sitting there, mouth full of gauze. I can't talk, obviously, so I'm trying to like talk to my mom. So I have to like text her, and they're like, you can't use your phone, so I can't like making hand motions and stuff. We drove home, my mom and I, and so I'm in the car, and she's like, okay, well, we gotta get your like prescriptions or whatever, like the medicine you need to take for your wisdom teeth, so it doesn't like hurt really bad. So we went to like, local drugstore thing, like, okay, we need to get this, and they're like, okay, whatever. And so then we drive home at my house, and so I'm like sitting upstairs in bed, whatever, and then I just remember that I was totally fine, and then it starts to hurt. And when it starts to hurt, it's not like, oh, it hurts, or like, oh, you get your braces tightened, it hurts a little bit. Like, no, this hurts. This is like you got punched in the face like many times. It's not nice. And then so like for the first day, I think it was like painful, but like once you took the medicine, you were kind of like fine, and then you keep like ice or whatever on your face, and you're kind of fine. But believe me, you're not gonna want to eat anything the first day. Either you'll want to sleep a lot, or you're gonna want to just like eat soft foods. So like I ate a bunch of ice cream, bunch of soup, mashed potatoes, things like that. Want to stick to, definitely. Things like that, best thing. So that, but yeah, the first day, really not that bad, I'd have to say. Just, you take the medicine and you're kind of like knocked out for most of the day anyways, because you're still from the anesthesia, you're tired, and you can keep the ice on and it'll help. So that's pretty much the first day. Moving on to the second day. So the first day is not that bad. The second day, it starts to kick in that it's pretty bad. So then you wake up and your mouth is gonna hurt, and it hurts pretty bad, like I said, getting punched in the face, but it gets worse. And your face at this point isn't really swollen. Your face gets swollen by like the third day, but like, And so my face wasn't really swollen, but then I just remember that like it hurts really bad, like obviously, because you got teeth pulled out and there's like a hole there. But yeah, so the second day, again, wasn't that bad, just like put stuff on, but it hurts. Okay, the third day is not nice. So the third day is when my face got super swollen like a chipmunk, and definitely not fun, especially if your family, like my Nona, my grandma, she's Italian, that's why I said Nona. So she was coming to visit me, and she wanted to see how I'm doing, and I'm like, don't come to visit me, because my mouth's like this big and I don't want to do anything. But no, then she came over and brought me food. That was nice, but still, so yeah, your mouth's really puffed up and it hurts even more, and you could definitely feel it. It's the third day, worst day, honestly. And yeah, so the medicine at that point, okay, you could take it and it's gonna help, but not help as much, but it's still gonna help. Okay, the 4th day of this whole process. Also, I'm doing this during like the week of school. Like I think I got it done on Friday or something, and I was out like the entire week, so not nice. So the fourth day, I realized that my pain like wasn't getting better, it was getting worse. And by like day 4, you're supposed to, like, your pain is supposed to get a little bit better, but it wasn't, and it was getting worse and not nice. It was like just a throbbing, awful pain. And I remember I would take the medicine, it wouldn't even do anything. I would just sit there the entire day, and I was just like holding stuff on my face, like the ice, and it wouldn't do anything. It would do something for like a little bit, and then you have to take the ice off eventually, and it would just hurt so bad. And it would just get worse and worse and worse. So I went to my oral surgeon, but it wasn't the same guy, which isn't very helpful. It was some other guy, and he was like, "Oh, well, your oral surgeon, he's out for the day." And I was like, "Great, wonderful." So I go back to go check it out, and so this guy, he's like, okay, he's kind of like older, so he's like, I guess he's more into like older ways of doing things, I guess, because that's at least what my dentist told me. So I go to ask him, like, hey, what's going on? It hurts really bad on one side, and it's not going away, and it's getting worse, and the left side is fine, and the right side is just awful. And so this guy is just like, oh, you're fine, it's gonna hurt, obviously, you got your wisdom teeth taken out, it's gonna hurt, so just take the medicine, try to get off of the medicine. I was gonna say gain off, that makes no sense. Get off the medicine, just take ibuprofen, you'll be fine, get over it. Put some ice on, you're fine. And I was like, okay, that's what I've been doing, you're not much help. And that was that day. Okay, the next day, oof, this isn't good either. So it gets worse. This pain, this throbbing pain is not getting any better. It's getting worse. And I just remember at this point it was like unbearable. Like I couldn't even sleep. I would take the medicine and it would do nothing. I would put on the ice, it would literally do nothing. I would just sit there, and it was so bad. And I was like, what is going on? So knowing me, I like to look up things. I really shouldn't, but I do. And I look up like anything. Like if I have a sore throat, I'm like, why does my throat hurt? And then it says something crazy on Google. I mean, we've all been there where you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I have this spot on my arm. And it's like, oh, you could have this, or you could have this, or you could have this. And you're like, oh. So, but actually, this time it was very helpful. And I looked it up and I said, why, like, what does it mean when your wisdom teeth hurt on one side, like really bad, and it's not going away? And there's this thing, and it's called a dry sock. Now this thing is exactly how it sounds. So it's basically, in layman's terms, it is when they pull out the tooth, mine was impacted, so they have to crack it in half without being really gross, but crack it in half and they take it out, and so you're gonna bleed. And when you bleed, the blood, I at least think this is what happens, the blood fills up in the little area that you got your tooth taken out, and so it clots. So it creates like a little barrier between the bone of your jaw and, well, the upper part of your mouth. So like when you eat stuff, like it's protecting it from like going into the thing. So basically, if you drink through a straw or just grind your teeth or anything of that sort, it could disrupt the blood clot, which is what happened with me. And what am I gonna do? And so this guy was like, okay, come and see me and it'll be fine. So thank gosh, the guy who did the operation was like there, and he was like, okay, so listen, basically you have this dry socket thing. And I was like, I know, that's not the case. I know I have that. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry about the other doctor. He doesn't believe in the dry socket. Like, he thinks it'll just go away. And I was like, great. So, basically, my doctor that did this before, he was there, and he was like, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this patch back there, and we're gonna pray for the best, and it should go away in like a little bit. So I was like, okay, great. So basically he took this little patch thing, it looks like a band-aid, I don't know how to describe it. It has like, I guess it has like cloves on it, like they're like little onion things, and it's like soaked in clove oil or something. And basically he put that into the, again, without getting gross, the socket, and immediately helped. After that went away, of course, I got another thing, so that's great. But this is completely normal. It's just for me, it was like really bad, and it was like not pleasant. So when you get your wisdom teeth taken out, for some reason your jaw likes to lock up. I have no clue why. Don't ask me why. I don't know scientific reasons for that, but something happens where your jaw gets so stiff. And so basically, I couldn't open my mouth past, I would say, this point, and very hard to eat anything. Basically just drinking a lot of like Gatorade and water and stuff they tell you to drink. And yeah, so that was really annoying. And about for like another week, I couldn't open my jaw that well. Maybe this much, maybe that's about it. And it's really hard to brush your teeth when you can't open your jaw, so that also doesn't help. And yeah, so anyways, can't open my jaw that much, so at this point I can maybe open it like halfway, I guess. And so the person calls me back there again and says, hey, okay, so is the pain gone that you had before? And I was like, yeah, it's gone. And they were like, great, okay, so now we could either change the clove thing just to make sure, or we could just take it out and hope for the best. And I was like, you know what, just take it out, it's fine, it doesn't hurt anymore, we're good. So I didn't have any more things with that, that's fine. But then, yeah, I know, then, so I have this lady, and this woman should be fired in my opinion. So this woman has literally no idea what I just went through, and she's like, you know what, we're gonna take the clove thing out anyways, it doesn't matter, we'll just whatever. So I'm like, okay, so basically that's all she was supposed to do, just take out the clove thing, and I'm leaving, and I'm done, and wait. No, she decides, okay, it's time to take your stitches out. Little hint here, it was not time to take the stitches out. And so, my stitches were like really far back, stitch your wisdom teeth, and I just remember the pain of her taking it out, the stitches out that she wasn't supposed to take, was 10 times worse than the pain of the dry socket thing. That was awful because they're not ready to be taken out, so they don't want to come out yet. So I remember her like yanking at these stitches, and I'm like, oh my gosh, please stop now. And I kept telling her, I was like, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, like, oh, stop, please stop. And she was like, well, I'm sorry, honey, it's gotta come out either way. And then my dad is just like, oh, well, you know, if it has to happen, it's whatever. And so I'm like, oh, great. But I remember, so I was just getting these stitches taken out, and it hurt so bad, and she would not listen whatsoever. And so she kept like picking at them, and it was really bad. And the fact that they were really, really tight in there too did not help at all. And she was just yanking at it, and it just... So that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that was entertaining for you and not boring. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Also, little update. It's been maybe half a year since I've gotten my wisdom teeth taken out. I've had really no problems ever since, other than my braces. They like move those every once in a while. That's normal though. Although I have had the lockjaw thing. I don't know what that is. Like a couple months after it went away, I got it back, and I still have it kind of. It's not as bad. I could open my mouth about halfway, but yeah, sometimes I hear clicking, so that's fun. But yeah, if you know what that is, comment down below. And yeah, if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe. It's free. Everybody likes free stuff. I mean, who doesn't like free stuff? And once again, thank you so much for watching. So